Back to follow-up segment tonight, the military trial of Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl on desertion and other charges. You may know the backstory. The sergeant leaving his unit in Afghanistan, captured by the Taliban, who tortured him, according to an Army investigation. Bergdahl was traded for 5 imprisoned Taliban commanders, a great deal for that terror crew. An Army general now deciding whether Bergdahl should go to trial. Joining us now from Washington, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, who is following the story for us. So a few weeks ago, I said the fix is in. That they're not going to put the sergeant in prison. And now I understand the Army newspaper Stars and Stripes has some new information. What is it?
Mr. Fidel, working, I believe, with Stars and Stripes, reported that essentially the Article 32 hearing, bill that you just referred to, was very favorable in that when the defense, Mr. Fidel and company, presented the information that General Dahl came up with, is that the story is Bowe Bergdahl deserted his post to go 19 miles to find a general to report the wrongdoing in his chain of command. And so they're saying that that circumstance, that mitigating circumstance, is going to be what is necessary to allow for General Abrams, the deciding official, to say, he's already suffered enough, nothing more to see here, time to move on. Perhaps some sort of a discharge, less than honorable, dishonorable, something along that lines, without any further action.
That's what I think is going to happen too.
Right.
But the excuse that Bergdahl went 19 miles into Apache territory, which is what they call the bad guys territory, to report some disenchantment he has with the American command. I mean, nobody's going to buy that. It makes the Army look foolish.
Bill, it's a lie.
But everybody's going to know that. Can't they come up with a better excuse?
Well, no, they can't. And look, Catherine Herridge has reported time and time again the factual evidence. I've had sources telling us what actually happened time and time again. Bill, this is what's going on. You see his defense attorney, Mr. Fidel, doing what his job is to do, is try to pry this in the media. With that said, and he said that the prosecution didn't push back on any of this. They did. They laid out factually what actually happened. And this is the kicker, and let me read it here. His personal judgment and decision jeopardized the overall mission. That is from one of the senior generals, one of my mentors, has said. Nothing has changed here. So let's divide what has to come next, which essentially is the court-martial, which I think will happen, and what the punishment should be. Fidel's trying to blur it all together. So, Bill, I think the Army is going to do the right thing here. I think they're going to move forward with some level of accountability first, and then you decide what the punishment should be.
I'm not so sure the Army is going to do the right thing. I mean, and the fact that at this point we have, a crazy story. Look, I feel bad for the guy who was tortured by the Taliban. Is no different, and that'll be the mitigating circumstance. That'll be it.
After the court-martial, yes.
He was tortured. You want to put him in jail after he's tortured. It was his own fault he was tortured, but still, he was tortured. All right. There's another case that's troubling.
Sure.
Army Green Beret Sergeant Charles Martlin roughs up an Afghan police official because the Afghan was raping a little boy, which is kind of common in Afghanistan.
Absolutely.
As horrible as that is. So this Green Beret did the right thing, and now the Army's punishing him?
It's as bizarre as you say. Look, I and others come through the Army trying to defend core values. One of the core values is in a situation like that, Bill, you defend those you're trying to protect. Children in Afghanistan are part of who we're trying to protect. And you have, one of these thugs who, by the way, the homosexual acts we're talking about, pedophile, it's common there. But this sergeant did the right thing. He stood up for our values of what we believe to be correct. And then what happened was he was getting what we call a letter of reprimand. The technical term, the informal term is bad paper. And what's happened is, because the Army's cutting back, because the Army's trimming down any piece of bad paper, even in this case where the bad paper was not deserved. His actions were correct for the circumstance.
But now I understand the Army's backpedaling on that because of all the bad publicity.
A little bit, because of pressure from Congress, because they've said, look, you've got 30 days, basically 60 days to go to the Army of Board of Corrections and try to get the bad paper removed, which then resets everything in motion. He may still end up getting kicked out.
No,
at least the bad paper may come out.
If he gets kicked out, I'm going to go on a jihad against the Army because this is outrageous.
I'll join you. I'll come with you.
I think that they got to right this wrong. The Army should not. They should promote him.
Yes.
They should promote him.
Put him in a leadership position. Make him a sergeant major. Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, Colonel. Thanks very much.